But what the people really want, and one reason why John McCain's doing so well in the polls right now, they love the fact that Palin is a mom of 5. They love the fact that her 5th child has Down syndrome. It's a great movie. It's a great story. It's great on television.
So the stuff that they attack Obama about, they're benefiting from her celebrity or whatever.
Star power.
Yeah, but you know, when it comes down to it, we're admiring the way things were laid out. But I think we have to really look at the people we're dealing with. And I recently, on the Sunday morning shows, I think it was Face the Nation, they had McCain. And his interview was basically his Democratic, his Republican speech all over again. The same thing about, well, I didn't want to, win the election and lose the war, and, I'm for change and I'm a mad for. He just kept saying the same thing over and over again, and that's one of the things I admire about Obama. When you see him during interviews, he's actually addressing the questions that are asked. He doesn't seem like he's reading from, memorizing the teleprompter so that he can redo the speech that he did last time, and that's the problem that we have now with the exclusivity that Sarah Palin has now, because we don't really know what she has to say outside of whatever they wrote for her at the Republican convention.
The thing that I thought was very interesting, I was somebody that I actually kind of respect in the news business, Ted Koppel. He actually came out and he was talking about Barack Obama, and he said that he was the smartest politician he ever saw since Bill Clinton. He said somebody that had the ability to talk on his feet and not, exactly what he said, not memorize stuff. And he said he was very impressed with him. And I said to myself, now you have somebody who's objective saying this. And the thing that I always come back to you, Ron, all the time, because I kept saying to myself, listening to the Republicans, they said that Obama in his speeches didn't talk about anything. And I said to myself, well, hold a second. I thought he talked about several different things.
He had 19 different policy stances in that one speech on itself. He talked about 19 different things in which he wanted to do to move this country forward. Name one thing that McCain said he was going to do, and he was his big change candidate. Nobody can name one thing that he's going to do differently.
He's going to change Washington,
than George Bush. But that's just rhetoric.
Did he say he's going to change Washington, though?
Right. He'll change it back to what it's been. But I think clearly, as Ryan indicated there, Obama set forth very clearly and distinguished with some substance, I'm going to cut taxes, to help average people. Because really America is a place for ordinary folks. And we pride ourselves on being ordinary and looking out for the average American. And the Republican Party just does not, based upon their principles, care about ordinary Americans.
See, but that's why this election is going to go down. If Barack Obama loses, the reason why he's going to lose is because this election will go down as one of the best marketing campaigns in the history of the country.
Well, John McCain is an American hero, remember?
He's the American
he was
hero.
Tortured.
And it's a movie. It's a movie based on ideology. They don't care about issues. They don't care about substance and what it really means to this. What people is about what the people like in terms of eating popcorn, watching Sarah Palin with the passing the baby around like a joint. Yeah. All of those things at the end of the day, that's what the people care about.
Unimpressive.
The thing I said to myself, Sarah Palin is the new Mary Tyler Moore.
She doesn't have the classes Mary Tyler Moore had.
Yes, don't do that to Mary Tyler Moore.
No, we came out of the Twin Cities. So I said to myself, but the thing is though, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of what's going on right now. There's this big campaign out here talking about they are for change. And I kept saying to myself, how is it that all of a sudden they're stealing Barack's thunder? And it doesn't seem that the press is kind of holding them accountable to that. Or are they?
And no one's asking them what you're going to change. It's just like to sit down with either McCain or Sarah Palin. Somebody needs to say, okay, you think that previous government wasn't doing what was right and that we're going to change government. Name 3 things that you differ with the Bush administration about. No one's getting that substantive, I don't agree with what's been going on in specifics. And as long as that happens, then you can't, it's just rhetoric. It really is a waste of time.
But she has beautiful glasses, though, and everybody wants them.
Yes,
the problem is 2003, John McCain says, I voted with Bush, check my record, over 90% of the time I'm with Bush. 2004, John McCain comes out and says, I've agreed with George Bush more than I've disagreed with him. These are his words that he's using. The DREAM Act, the immigration bill that he sponsored, he's now voting against that bill that he sponsored to be more in line with Bush. The tax cuts that he was a maverick and voted against, now he's with George Bush. All of these things, the war in Iraq, all these things, and when he's going from way over here to the center to the right, just to align with George Bush, he's not the same John McCain as 2000.
Is he a flip-flopper, you say?
He's a flip-flopper.
Absolutely.
All day long.
And it's in what I call the whole Republican thing are old reruns. It's the same, it's like reruns, something that you saw 10 years ago or something you saw some time ago. Listen, you have to look at the records. And I've done a lot of research on Sarah Palin. Her record shows that she's not for change. It's the same rhetoric, as I said, the reruns that the Republicans traditionally do. And her state alone, they get the most federal kickbacks.
Right.
They're getting all the welfare, if you will. And you know, what change are you talking about? You're leeching off of Washington. And who's paying for it? The taxpayers, we are.
You know, the thing that's interesting, she said she was against the bridge to nowhere, right? But the
Right.
funny thing about it was she never gave the money back.
She never gave them. She kept over
See, that's
$200 million of those funds.
Yeah,
Never will. That's a blatant lie. Her whole speech was a blatant lie. She said that she fired the cook when the cook was never fired. She still kept him on the payroll. She still cooked for him. She said that she was against the bridge to nowhere, and she said she stopped the bridge to nowhere, but it's actually Congress that stopped the bridge to nowhere. And again, she kept the money for
Because
it.
the American people complain about the bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, and the whole thing about I sold the jet on eBay. Okay, how much more? You know, what about the other expenses for you and your family that you're spending?
You know
Let's talk about that.
That in itself is a lie. She never sold the jet on eBay. She listed the jet on eBay. And then guess what? There were over 300 other items that were placed on eBay from other politicians in the Alaskan office, because that's something that they normally do. That's not something out of the norm.
It's not anything
so
she
now
specially
she's putting it up here and says she sold on eBay. She never sold on eBay, and she took over $17,000 of taxpayers' money for doing what? For living at home. She got a $60 per diem pay whenever she went back to home to see her mom and her family, and she took that money and kept it for herself. That's not change.
So Barack Obama has been, over the last 18 months, talking about this whole idea of change. And they have been talking about change for how long? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Then I'm confused, and I need your help to help me understand. I'm looking at these polls, okay, reading all different polls from CBS to Gallup to some local polls, and the thing that I find really troubling is that Barack is behind or even in a lot of these states, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to me. What am I not getting it? Is America not getting it? Barack said that Americans are not stupid. Right. But maybe they're ignorant.
Well, I think one of the issues is they're not really examining the issues. They are. It's strictly going down party lines. It's, you know, if you are looking at the issues and where John McCain stands on these issues and Sarah Palin is really just laughable. And that's all I can do is just laugh at her. But if we get to the core, because John McCain is at the head of the ticket, we have to look at his record, and if we examine it, we see that it's definitely not about change. He's a George Bush crony. And I think the American people are afraid to take a chance. I think what it is, it boils down to it. You have this African-American male who is running for president, very popular, and a lot of support across the country, but a lot of people are uneasy still with this whole concept of an African-American leading a country. Sure, he can be a senator. Sure, we've given some blacks the opportunity to be CEOs of some of our Fortune 500 companies, but you're talking about the highest position in the land, and that is what I really believe the real issue is, because he's got them on the issues. He's laid out a very clear plan for America, but the real issue is America is still sort of reserved about this issue. We want to show that we've progressed, but we're still a little uncertain about, you know, can a black man lead this nation?